Hello, this is Tyler Beamer, Haywood Community College. This is an instructional math video for DMA 040. This video is in regards to Module 4, Section 2, Properties of Real Numbers. So, I'm going to go through some definitions and some examples here. Get everyone started on their homework. Alright. So the two main properties that we're going to look at, well, two of the three main properties, is the commutative property. Commutative property only works for addition and multiplication. Basically says that you can change the position of the numbers in addition and multiplication and still get the same result. So you can test this. Let's say that A was 2 and let's say that B is equal to 3. Let's just make it simple. So A plus B is 2 plus 3, which would equal 5. And then if I switch those and I do 3 plus 2, hey, I also get 5. Right? So that's what the commutative property is saying. It also works for multiplication. 2 times 3 would give us 6, and then if I reverse those, 3 times 2, I also get 6. So those are equal. So that's what the commutative property is stating. Okay. So commutative property essentially has to do with order in which those terms are written. It only works for addition and multiplication. If you try this with subtraction and division, it doesn't work. So if I did A minus B, that's 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. If I did the reverse ordering of that, B minus A, 3 minus 2 is positive 1. And notice that negative 1 is not equal to positive 1. It also does not work for division. A divided by B, that would be 2 divided by 3, 2/3. B divided by A, if I switch the order there, I get 3 over 2. 2/3 is obviously, once again, not equal to 3 over 2. Okay. Associative property, that has to deal with grouping, right? So this, once again, only works for addition and multiplication. If I change the grouping around here with these numbers, the sum and the product is not going to change. So let's keep these two. We'll add a C of say 4, and you can test that. So 2 plus 3 parentheses plus 4. Obviously, following the order of operations, I do the parentheses first. 5 plus 4, and I get 9. And then if I rewrite this so that, notice that the order's not changing here, A, B, and C. I'm just moving the parentheses. I'm just moving the grouping symbol around. 2 plus 3 plus 4 in parentheses. Do the parentheses first. I get 7 plus 2, which is also equal to 9. And of course, 9 equals 9. Okay. Same thing for multiplication. Changing the grouping around, so you can test that. Following order of operations, 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24. 2 times parentheses 3 times 4. So do the parentheses, 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 12 is 24. Notice those are both equal. So notice I'm keeping the A, B, and C in the same order. I'm just moving the parentheses around. Okay. So if I wanted to rewrite expressions using the commutative or associative property, right, it would look something like this. So x plus 8, well, that would be the same as 8 plus x. Okay, so I can basically switch the order in which those are written. 7 times x, I can rewrite that as x times 7. That would be the commutative property of multiplication. 3 plus 8 plus 1. Right? I can use the associative property here. So anytime you see parentheses, that should be a light bulb to go to the associative property. So I'm going to keep the order of the numbers the same. I'm just literally going to move the parentheses from the last two to the first two numbers. I can do the same thing here with associative property. So instead of grouping the -5 and the 4, I'm going to group the 4 and the 2, and I'm going to keep everything in the same order. And I could do the same thing down here. Instead of grouping x and y, I could group y and 18, which would probably be written like this. So we use these properties to rewrite, which will help us in the solving process later on. Okay. Distributive property. This is a property that you'll use quite frequently. When you use distributive property, you are distributing multiplication to every term in a parentheses. So notice that A is getting multiplied times the entire expression B plus C. So I'm distributing the multiplication of A to both B and to C. So I'm multiplying A times B and then A times C. So we're going to practice that one. Let's do some of those actually right now. So use distributive property to write each expression without parentheses. So distribute the 7 to the first term. 7 times x is 7x. Distribute the 7 to the second term. And so we're going to actually use this operation as the sign of this term. So this is going to be positive 7 times positive 4y, which is a positive 28y. And then, of course, that sign is going to give us the operation in our resulting algebraic expression. Okay. Same thing here. 3 times -5, -15. Positive 3 times a positive 9z is positive 27z. Okay, and you got to be really, really careful with signs when you use the distributive property. Notice in C there's no number here, right? So if there's no number and there's a negative sign, it's implied that there's a -1 there. So that's -1 times 8, which is -8. -1 times a positive x, which is a -x. So I'm going to write minus x. So these signs in these parentheses can change. I encourage you to not use double signs. So don't write plus minus or minus minus or anything of that nature. That's going to make things thoroughly confusing whenever you start solving. So use the sign that's in front of these terms as the sign of this term, and then multiply. Write the sign of the product here as the operation in the algebraic expression. So lastly, we would do -1 times -w. So -1 times -w. Negative times a negative is a positive. So that would be a positive w. Okay. Let's just do some more examples of this so that you guys can get a good group of examples here. So let's say we had -5 times 2x is -10x. -5 times -4y is a positive 20y. So we write down plus. Okay. So just an example of what not to do. Right? Do not write your answer like this. Okay. These two things technically are equivalent, but those double signs are really going to mess you up when we get to the solving part. So let's break those bad habits right now when you're working through this. Okay. Alright. Okay. Other properties, identity. Identity means you can do a math operation and get the exact same term as the answer. So if I add 0 to something, I get that same number back. Basically, that's what that's saying. If I multiply something by 1, I get that exact same number in return. So it doesn't change the value. The value stays exactly the same. Okay. Alright, so I think that should give you guys enough examples to get started here with section 2. If you have any questions, as always, please email those to me or stop by the office. Have a great day.